stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Benner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Well, this is it. The final program I'm going to record before Election Day 2016. Now, I'm doing this on October the 24th, 2016, so I have no idea what's going to happen between now and Election Day. But there are a few things that I do know. I and a few of my conservative commentating counterparts have been accused by some, even respected commentators on the right, of propagandizing. Now, let me translate that. Propagandizing in this context means that we're not weeping and wailing and gnashing teeth and declaring Hillary Clinton the victor of the 2016 election. We're daring to go against the grain of the state stream media that is trying to create a self-fulfilling prophecy by declaring Clinton the victory now so that people will be discouraged from going to the polls and voting for Donald Trump. Well, let me be as real as I can here. I'm not going to paint what I think is an unrealistically rosy picture of the situation. Nor, though, am I going to buy into pop media's narrative, and that's because I have somewhat inside information from across the pond. But we'll get to that later. It's also been said that it's unrealistic not to point the situation out for what it truly is. I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to encourage. Because as I record this, people, I honestly do not think that this election is over. And I honestly do believe that there is a good chance that if enough people get out and vote, Donald Trump will win this election. As I've always tried to be, I'm going to be real with you guys from start to finish. Let's begin with what we know about where we are. When Barack Hussein Obama was declared victor in the 2008 election, it wasn't long before he said this.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
And has he ever been successful at fundamentally transforming America? If you listened to my Halloween special, you heard me enumerate a few examples of his success. Many agree that, constitutionally speaking, the United States of America did not survive the 8 years of the Obama presidency. This time, the old formula that we hear every time there's an election of, well, we survived this one and we'll survive this next one, didn't hold up. At this point, we have an elite political class who lives by a different set of rules than everyone else, and they are backed up, frankly, by thugs and domestic terrorists. The first part of that statement can be proven in the results of the Hillary Clinton investigation and in the uncovering of what has been called a shadow government by an FBI probe, as reported in a CNBC article. And by the way, everything that I'm going to use in this program is going to be available at UBG Contact on Twitter. That's where you can contact me with comments, questions, and show suggestions. The second part of my statement can be proven by the incidences of illegal activity, thuggery, and yes, downright domestic terrorism that have been recorded only up to this date. As in the case of Grace, that's C_Lemons666 on Twitter, whose post was seen on Wednesday, October the 19th, who said, "We stole a giant Trump sign last night." Well, apparently Grace doesn't know that she committed a felony, and I doubt if she did know that she'd care. Then on October the 17th, 2016,
a local Republican Party office in ashes today after what authorities in one North Carolina town say was a firebombing. Joining us now on the phone, North Carolina Republican Party Executive Director Dallas Woodhouse. Dallas, there was graffiti, I understand, painted on the outside as well, referring to, quote, Nazi Republicans.
The part that you didn't say is it says Nazi Republicans get out or else. This is an utter act of political terrorism. I think the scariest part is the bomb hit sort of a couch and a chair where volunteers stuck out all the time. And it's just the grace of God that nobody was there. The office is a total loss, voter list, everything else, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is nobody was killed. People could have been killed. It's just a horrifying situation when you think you have volunteers in offices all across the state and all kinds of places, And these kind of acts are intended to intimidate. They are intended to terrorize. That's what they are. But we will not let it happen.
These are only a few examples highlighting the brown shirt-like tactics of the Democratic Party headed by Hillary Clinton. Now, a note to the Never-Trumpers and the Hillary Clinton supporters, none of that's going to matter. Because Trump said bad things. Trump's a meanie. Trump's a bully. Well, let's check out some things that Hillary Clinton said. First, about religion.
Hillary Clinton not only supports expanded access to abortion, she's also made clear she believes personal convictions of average Americans shouldn't stand in her way.
Laws have to be backed up with resources and political will. And deep-seated cultural codes, religious beliefs, and structural biases have to be changed.
Well, that may not matter to you because you might not be especially religious, but what about what Hillary Clinton has to say about all of us? First, about ordinary Americans on the right.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that. And he has lifted them up. Now, some of those folks, they are irredeemable, but thankfully they are not America.
Well, you might be a progressive and you might be thinking, well, all that's true. But what about what Hillary Clinton thinks of you?
There's just a deep desire to believe that, we can have free college, free health care, that what we've done hasn't gone far enough and we just need to, go as far as, Scandinavia, whatever that means. And half the people don't know what it means, but it is something that they deeply feel. So as a friend of mine said the other day, I am occupying from the center left to the center right, and I don't have much company there.
See, as you've just heard, Hillary Clinton, who once criticized Donald Trump for saying that he and only he could fix problems, considers herself to be in a unique position. There's not much company where she is. She's just that much better than you are. But is she perfect? A recent slip by a reporter indicates that, certainly on a physical level, she is not a perfect specimen.
Did you catch this? The comeback of the cardboard camera. Holy 80s driving to the photomat, Batman. We thought it was like a Secret Service thing, banning the cell phones. But then there was. So what do you say, guys? This would get rid of the selfie, right? You know what? This is the reason why it was banned, apparently, because the Secret Service did not trust people to disable the flashes on their cameras.
So interesting.
And they were afraid it would sort of inspire Hillary's seizure disorder, that have a problem with that again.
Yes, so you could turn it off.
Now let's use one of the left's favorite scenarios. Suppose a President Clinton is negotiating with Vladimir Putin. They stop for a photo op, and Putin says, "Russian press will now take pictures, yes? Oh, Hillary, remove sunglasses. Let me gaze on your handsome womanly face." Diplomatically speaking, Hillary Clinton will have to do it. The flash guns go off, and the President of the United States winds up having a seizure in the middle of diplomatic negotiations. Not a pretty picture. And hey, before people start bagging on me, remember, I am the unpleasant blind guy. You're not going to find me driving a city bus or flying an airliner. There are certain jobs that physically I know I simply cannot do. And no delusions of grandeur on my part are going to change those facts. Hillary Clinton is not only morally unqualified to be President of the United States, she's physically unqualified to be so. But Trump's a whiner, you say? I agree with President Obama. If the election results show that Hillary Clinton won, Trump should just concede. And if he doesn't, then he's just a thumb-sucking baby. A nice talk from some people who backed Al Gore, who made us wait over a month in 2000 before he conceded in that election. See, guys, in a sense, this election comes down to that issue. The issue of whether we're going to have an America for the elite class and everyone else, or whether we're going to have an America for everyone. There should be equal laws, equal responsibility, and equal treatment in the United States of America for everyone. That is much of what has driven the movement to elect Donald Trump as president. Now, we do have to talk about the election process itself, because part of the discussion going on today is that Trump and his supporters are whining because they say that the election process is rigged. Well, I would suggest that you go to the Project Veritas action page on YouTube and check out the videos there. They clearly show Democratic Party officials engaged in voter fraud, and some have had to resign from the campaign already. With all that stacked up against Donald Trump, it adds to the narrative that whether it's fairly done or not, Hillary Clinton already has this election. You hear this last part from too many commentators on the right. Well, people, I'm here to tell you that that's not correct. Yes, I know that the polls show that Clinton is ahead. And with dire solemnity, commentators say, these polls are scientific, and those who take them make a living at it. Really? So-called climate scientists make a living at what they do, and yet they're sitting up now, clapping their hands and barking like seals in support of the global warming movement. Journalists make a living at what they do, and how many of them are honest? People, the fact that someone gets paid for doing what they do does not mean that they don't have an agenda, and that they're not going to take the money for doing a job, even if they do that job in a dishonest way. Other so-called experts have come out and said, all this talk of a groundswell that we don't even see isn't going to happen. I know it. Well, let me tell you something, sports fans. This is the 13th of these election cycles that I've seen. And so far, the conventional wisdom of the graybeards has gone right out the window. You see, they give that response every time someone mentions Brexit. Well, I happen to know a little bit about that. You see, I panel every Friday and Sunday currently on the English Defense League radio program. All of the polls, all of the commentary, all of the conventional wisdom in the UK in June said that the Remain campaign was going to win and the United Kingdom was going to stay in the European Union. But what happened? The people went out and voted in their millions. They ignored the polls. They ignored the commentators. They ignored the news reports that said they'd already lost. And they went out and voted their consciences. Folks, Brexit won. And it won with 40% of the vote to leave the European Union coming from the British Labour Party, their equivalent of the American Democratic Party. The undercurrent among the people of the United Kingdom to leave the European Union was far, far stronger than the popular pundits in the United Kingdom could even conceive. If I didn't feel a confidence that Donald Trump stands a good chance of winning the presidency, I wouldn't say so. Instead, though, to you I say, check with your local officials to make sure that you're still registered to vote, get out there, vote Trump, and encourage others to do the same. You know, Al Gore never was right about a whole lot, but he was right about one thing. Your vote really does count. Every vote really does count. The advocates of self-rule can beat the election fixers. They can confound the pundits. It is possible to buck the quote-unquote scientific polls. Whether the big bugs want to admit it or not, Brexit proved that when enough people stand and make their voices heard at the ballot box, no amount of skullduggery will silence their voices. This program is going to run through the election, with a new Unpleasant Blind Guy coming out around November the 11th. So harden your resolve to do the right thing for self-rule and for personal liberty. Be prayerful and act. And with God's help, the people will win. That's it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening. God be with you on Election Day, and may God go with the United States of America. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2016 Anno Domini.